Well, welcome back, folks. Sheepdog Smokey here, and I hope you're having a great start to your weekend. Um, I've started kind of a new format where, there will still be news stories or other things that I talk about, but I realized that I've said several times, as I'm trained to teach, I want to have some videos that are along those lines. This new format is kind of for that. When I would start a class, it started with a discussion. I taught social studies, and yes, there are things that you just lecture on. The Revolutionary War, the Civil War, War of 1812, World War I, World War II, Spanish-American War, everything and anything from really the founding of the colonies through today. And that's kind of what you expect. But social studies to me, with the exception of perhaps geography, is also about the abstract and the objective and subjective and everything in between. Yes, I have certain things I have to teach, I have to lecture on. But learning history, learning political science, learning governmental organization, learning economics is also about how to apply those lessons and how to use them to shape how you think. I never once was thinking I'm going to teach them what to think. I can guarantee you I had students who went on to become conservative, liberal, independent, libertarian, Republican, Democrat, every faith that you could think. And I never once used my platform to try to influence them to think differently. I taught what my subject matter was. But with the social sciences, you have to look at the present day as well as the past. One of the big things going around right now is the word xenophobia. And as always, it's a buzzword that's being misused and overused. Much like we saw in 2016 and 17, 18, and last year, the big buzzwords were Russian asset, Russian stooge, Russian puppet, or racist, or white supremacist. All of them wrong, all of them overused. Now it's xenophobia. You see, when Donald Trump took office, not long after that, he actually put in place travel restrictions from countries that were sponsors of terrorism and had high numbers of terrorists identified in them to protect the U.S. by not letting people in without being vetted. It wasn't, you can't come here, it's we want to know who you are first. When President Trump imposed travel restrictions on China, it was, again, back to the same thing. It's just racist. Nothing could be further from the truth. But much like all of the whatever phobic terms that are used, xenophobia is one of them, and it's overused and misused. You see, xenophobia is a fear of anything from the outside, anything not just like you. And if you are going to impose travel restrictions on one specific country, that's not xenophobic. Xenophobic would be we're closing the entire country to everyone who is not an American. That would be xenophobic, and it has not happened, to my knowledge, at any point. There are restrictions put in place, there is vetting done, and all of those things, and that's normal for any country to want to do to protect themselves. But, you see, when President Trump put the travel restrictions in place, it was, in most senses, an economic move. Because in addition to the tariffs, that would harm the Chinese economy just a bit, and it would reinforce just how dependent their economy is on the United States. How much are they shipping to us to sell? How many times do Americans travel there to work or vacation? How many times are Chinese people traveling to the U.S. for work or vacation? So it was an economic move, and it turned out to also be a very good public health move. Because with COVID-19 coronavirus, the Wuhan virus, which coincidentally, despite some claims going around, the Simpsons did not predict. But with that now coming to public knowledge, it's a very good thing that we have the restrictions in place for travel to and from China. The problem is that other countries are opening their borders. For crying out loud, we have actual government officials in Iran that appear to have been infected, or at least exposed. So travel restrictions are going to have to be widened. But as with all things that are bad, the media and the Democratic Party politicize them and use them. You see, at first, the travel restriction was racist and xenophobic, but now it's not enough. Neither is the $2.5 billion that the president requested, and of course Pelosi's talking about that. But they always run back to this. It needs to stop, honestly. I have had conversations along these lines with my students where I would ask them, if you knew for a fact that there was a very contagious virus in San Antonio, and the mayor of your town, we'll just say either Fort Worth, Dallas, or Arlington, because I was teaching in Dallas, Fort Worth, but we'll say the mayor of Arlington said, we are not allowing travel into or out of Arlington to or from San Antonio without intensive medical screening. Would you call the mayor of Arlington racist or xenophobic or any other word? No. You would look at it and say, well, there's a very serious virus in San Antonio, and they're being quarantined, and they're being examined. We don't want people coming in that might infect us. And that's what most people think. And by most people, I do mean most. They're able to look at it and they're able to say the coronavirus originated in the Wuhan province of China. And the vast majority of cases are either people who have been to China or have been in close proximity to people who have been in China. Therefore, to impose travel restrictions against China is a good thing, because we're not saying don't come. We can't force Chinese aircraft not to head for San Diego or Los Angeles. What we can do is say, you're not entering that airport, you're coming over here to this quarantine facility, and we're going to watch and investigate, and we're going to test you. And if you are infected, you're not being released out into the public to infect others. It's common sense. And yes, my generation is the generation of chickenpox parties. I personally remember my parents, they were upset, yes, but I don't get the feeling they were horrifically upset when they found out someone's child was thought to have gotten chickenpox and not kept home from school. I have personal friends, and I don't agree with this in any way, shape, form, or fashion, but I have personal friends whose parents knew someone had chickenpox and sent their children to play. Chickenpox as an adult can be very, very bad. It can lead to horrific shingles, and it can kill. If you get it early and you're treated, because at the time, no vaccine for it. Don't even know what the status is now. I don't follow medicine that close, but 40 odd years ago, close to 40 years ago, it was not possible. So if you got it young and you were instantly treated with antibiotics and other things, your body would build up an immune system response that would not be as hard to do as an adult, and ideally you would not get them again. I had them when I was about 5 years old, I don't know, 5 or 6, and I've not had shingles. I've not had a resurgence of any kind of chickenpox. My sister, same thing. My little brother, a little bit later, and not as nearly as severe a case as I had. But he has had a resurgence of shingles, and luckily caught early enough and treated, and he's fine. But that is the idea that was prevalent. And it's no longer, because medical science has increased exponentially in the last 4 decades, which is a good thing. There is already a proposed vaccine that The FDA is going to have to vet and test, and it's going to take a while. I understand that. But there's a congressman, I forget his name, I said it in yesterday's video, but I believe it's Senator Hawley, Josh Hawley, is putting forth legislation that would ease some of the pressure and red tape on the FDA to allow for faster testing and different testing, wider testing. This is not, as I'm sure when it comes up and is debated on the media endlessly, well, he just wants to unleash the FDA to say, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. I'm going to make that prediction now. Someone will say that Hawley's proposed bill is literally just saying, oh, FDA doesn't have to test, which it's not. This is similar to the people claiming that Trump has cut funding from the CDC, which he has not. We need to stop the lies and the horrendous rhetoric that is just whipping people into a frenzy, because it serves only one purpose, and that is to divide. And that is not what we need at this time. But this is something to think about. I mean, you hear these terms. When you talk about you want border law enforced, you're called a racist and told you hate brown people. Well, we have 4 geographical borders. 2 of them with a country, 2 of them, well, technically I'd say 5. Maybe you could even say 6, but we have 4 to 6 geographical borders. 3 of them border a country, and the others are bordering bodies of water. There's a border with Mexico, physical. There's a border with the Atlantic and Pacific Ocean. Same for Hawaii, same for Alaska, and for Alaska and the U.S., continental U.S., a border with Canada. The rest of the story is that people from every other country on the planet come to this country for business, for pleasure, for family. And we have confirmed that the southern United States border has been breached by people who are not Hispanic. So to say you hate Mexicans because you want U.S. immigration law enforced is stupid. I don't care where you're from. I don't care if you're the most pasty Brit on the planet, brown, black, polka dots with yellow fur. I don't care. If you come to this country, do it right. My ancestors did it right. My great-grandfather in the late 1800s did it right. They came in via an approved crossing point. They entered via the approved method. They became citizens, then went on to raise their families. I don't care if you want to come to this country, just do it right. If you come in wrongly, you have broken United States law, and you should be held to account for it. We have people wanting any and everything on the planet criminalized because criminals are doing it, and they can't say, well, it's already illegal, but we would enforce those laws better. They just want to make it more illegal and harder for law-abiding citizens to do. They ignore that if you enter Mexico illegally, you go directly to jail for months on end or longer, and you're never heard from until they maybe let you out. They just want our border to be porous on the inflow, because they realize these people do, in some cases, vote. We have actually had politicians in blue states say that they're only registered to vote in local elections because they live here. Well, no, there is no local, then county, then state, then federal registration. You're registered. And if you walk through a polling place and you hand a voter's registration card over, they let you vote. Your name is on the roll. There is no vetting at that point. And the blue states know it. And that is why the ultra far left call immigration enforcement racist. It's why they call travel restrictions xenophobic. It's why they call everything and anything the most horrific terms they can come up with. So, we need to stop the use of that, and the best way to do it is with facts. It is not xenophobic to impose travel restrictions dealing with a country that has an outbreak of a very contagious virus. It is not racist to do that. It is not in any way wrong to do that. We are a sovereign nation. If you knew your neighbor had a virus, you would not go to their house. You would not let them come to your house. You would stay separate from them for your own health. Well, this is just a wider distance between homes. And it needs to stay as it is now until this is handled. But that's my side of it. Let me know what you think in the comments. As always, remember to remain civil and have a discussion, not an argument. Also, please remember to subscribe, turn on notifications so that you're kept abreast of all new content as it is posted. As again, I don't have a schedule right now. I'm working on getting to where I can have something on a regular basis, because I know if I don't put videos out, I can't expect people to go back and watch the same old stuff over and over. I do hope that this sparks some discussion, and it sparks some good discussion. And I hope that we will see you back here again for the next one. Until next time, everyone have a great weekend and a great week next week.